Be honest. When it's time to write a parent training goal, do you pause, stare at your cursor, and then finally copy something from an old report just to check a box? You're not alone. For a lot of BCBAs, parent training doesn't feel like progress. It feels like one more task to justify, one more box to tick, one more awkward session where you hope the parent shows up and cares. But here's the truth. It's not the parent and it's not you. It's the goal. In this video, we're going to fix that because I'm going to show you how to write a parent training goal that actually drives change, one that fits their real life, builds momentum, and gives you something to track every single session. If parent training has ever felt like the least effective part of your week, this might be the shift that changes everything. We've all been trained to write SMART goals, specific, measurable, all the right checkboxes. And sure, they meet the criteria, but let's be honest, they're often written for the report, not for the relationship. We write goals like parent will identify 3 examples of reinforcement, or parent will describe least to most prompting strategies. Okay, those are measurable, yes. Are they clinically useful? Maybe. But here's what really happens. You show up to the session. You ask, did you use reinforcement this week? The parent says, maybe. You nod, you write the note, you move on. That goal didn't guide the session. It just filled space. So what do we actually need instead? We need goals that function like scaffolding. Something that you can teach, model, and track while you're in the room with the parent. And that's the shift from goals that summarize the past to goals that guide the present. So, what does that kind of goal actually look like? It's not just a well-written sentence. It's not just technically billable. I mean, a goal that actually works in a session with a real parent during a real Tuesday where everyone's overwhelmed. For me, every goal now has to meet 3 criteria. It has to be habit stacked, self-reinforcing, and scalable. So let's walk through and look at what that means with examples so you can use this right away. First, the goal has to be habit stacked, and that means the skill has to be tied to something that the parent is already doing, something that's already part of their daily routine. If a strategy only works in theory, or if it depends on them remembering it in the middle of chaos, it's not going to happen. So instead of saying that the parent will use labeled praise, I'll write something more like parent will use labeled praise during cleanup once per day, 4 times a week. So why cleanup? Because it's already happening. We're stacking the skill on top of something that's predictable for that family, which makes it 10 times easier for them to follow through. And here's the part that we don't say enough. This doesn't just help the parent, it helps you. You walk into a session knowing exactly what to teach, what to observe, and what to track. You're not starting from scratch. Second, the goal has to be self-reinforcing, meaning the strategy has to feel helpful to the parent. If it doesn't, they're never going to use it. They'll smile and nod, but they're just going to forget it by tomorrow. But if the strategy gives them something, less pushback, a smoother bedtime, one real win, then you've got some momentum. So I'll write a goal that's more like parent will use a 2-minute transition warning with a visual timer before leaving the house 5 days a week and reflect on how it worked during the session. Now the parent isn't just following a protocol, they're seeing that it works, and that's the reinforcement. We're not just teaching a skill, we're reinforcing an experience for the parent. And third, the goal has to be scalable, because if the goal is just use the strategy, you're going to be reteaching the same thing every week. Instead, we want goals that grow like any other skill. We might start with something like the parent will prompt requesting during snack time using a visual with coaching. Then we might move on to parent prompts independently. And finally, we could shift the goal so that its parent uses the strategy in multiple different routines. It's not a checkbox, it's a trajectory. And when your goal is written that way, your sessions stop feeling random. And now you know what you're building. The parent knows what they're working on, and you actually get to see progress week after week. Let's make this real. Take this common one. Parent will describe prompting strategies. That sounds very clinical, but it doesn't guide anything. It's not tied to anything. So let's rewrite that one. Parent will use least to most prompting during bedtime transitions with visual support 3 times per week and reflect during session. Now we've got something we can teach, we can observe, and we can track. It's no longer a theory, it's a skill in real life. You might be thinking, all right, this makes sense, but I don't have time to reinvent every goal from scratch. And you're right, you don't. That's exactly why I built a structure around it. The Achieve Parent Training Session Planner is what I use to make this simple and sustainable. Every lesson follows the exact framework. You pick the strategy, you tie it to a routine, you build it in reflection, and the session note, it practically writes itself. This tool doesn't just help you write better goals, it helps you lead better sessions, ones with structure, clarity, and actual progress. Whether you're brand new to parent training or you've been winging it for years, this will give you back your time and your impact. Click the link below to download the free version. This is the exact tool I wish I had when I was writing goals that sounded great, but actually went nowhere. Here's the part I hope you remember. You don't need better jargon. You don't need to wait for more CEUs. You need goals that do what they're supposed to do. Guide your sessions, build parent confidence, and track real progress, 1 week at a time. When you write goals that are habit stacked, self-reinforcing, and scalable, you're not just writing a line in a report. You're building a system that actually holds up, even on your busiest weeks. And you don't have to build it alone. So grab the Achieve Session Planner below. And if you want to see how this all comes together inside the session, not just on paper, watch the next video. Think parent training has to be reinvented every session. It doesn't. I'll walk you through the exact plug and play format I use to simplify sessions without losing impact.